monte.
It's the Wastelander Chronicles, brought to you by O'Gary's Imports. O'Gary's Imports. If you want it, we have it. And if we don't have it, we'll get it. Join us now as we journey to the blistering sands of Arrakis, where we follow the adventures of the O'Gary clan, a pioneering family of salvage experts, as they scour war-torn battlefields and crash sites to discover their next great haul.
Hey there, everyone! Welcome back to the Wastelander Chronicles. I'm your Badland Scout, Sally O'Gary, back with another wild adventure from the Wastelander Chronicles. Today's story is a real nail-biter. We were out in the Haga Basin, tracking an off-course freighter when we had the most incredible and terrifying encounter. Let me tell you all about it. We were cruising along in Clovis, our trusty 68 Chom Landmaster. It was supposed to be a routine trip, nothing special. But then, out of nowhere, a rock site showered down from above and blocked our way. And when the sand and dust settled, we were surrounded. Over a dozen of the fearsome desert warriors, known as the Fremen, materialized from the gloom. At least we thought they were Fremen. Their faces were hidden behind weird iron helmets. But Fremen or no, these guys were all business. The one with the biggest helmet stepped forward. He seemed to be in charge and didn't waste any time accusing us of trespassing on Masquerade territory.
Masquerade? I've heard of these clowns.
Maybe not a good time for name-calling, hon.
We tried to explain that we were just friendly explorers, but they weren't having any of it. The one in the big helmet said we were infidels, defiling the electric worm's domain. Whatever the heck that meant.
A cargo cult. Fremen wannabes. Dude Shaz warned me about them.
When were you talking to Dude Shaz?
Not now.
Well, was he talking to you, or were you talking to him?
Here we go.
I'm just asking. Don't I have a right to know why my wife is always chatting up the handsome sheriff?
He gives good intel.
Is that what you call it?
By that point, I guess Big Helmet had enough of Mom and Dad's bickering, because he got real mad and ordered us buried up to our necks in the sand. But just as they were gonna drop us into chin-deep pits, something incredible happened. The Moskret started yelling about something they call Shai Halud and lit out of there like their tails were on fire. Turns out, Shai Halud is the local name for the big sandworm. Well, I don't have to tell you what happened next. The ground started rumbling and rumbling like never before. I swear it must have been one of those super granddaddy sandworms you hear about living in the deepest desert. I figured it must have took a wrong turn at the shield wall and ended up on our heels. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to worms, Mom and Dad know their business and led us to safety on a rock island with practiced precision. When the dust settled, the worm was gone and there was no sign of the Moskret. Or was there?
I've got their trail. Good job, son. Follow it.
And why are we following it again?
They threatened my babies.
The trail led to a depression in the rocks where the Moskret had made camp. They posted guards, but they were no match for us. The best part is, after we killed them all, I found an old handwritten map tucked into Big Helmet's boot. It smelled like farts and old cheese, but I slipped it into my bag anyhow. I know, stealing isn't right, but Dad always says that if they're dead, then it really isn't stealing. Anyhow, we took the helmets and left their gross corpses to the scavengers before finding our way back to Clovis. As we headed back home, I couldn't wait to show Mom and Dad the map. It could be the start of our next big adventure. Back at our shop, we spend days spit shining the helmets to a mirror polish as we get them ready for you, dear listeners.
That's right, Sally. At O'Gary's Imports, it's Masquerade Mask Mayhem, and we won't be undersold. We have big helmets, we have ugly helmets, we have big and ugly helmets. Come find us on the Agora Concourse of the Grand Souk in Arakeen. Because at O'Gary's Imports, if you want it, we have it. And if we don't have it, we'll get it.
Thanks, Dad. Until next time, this is your faithful Badland Scout, Sally O'Gary, signing off and reminding you to always check your sticks. And come back next time for another episode of the Wastelander Chronicles.
How about that, folks? The deep desert holds more than just spice and sand. It holds stories of resilience, of daring, and of discovery.
Someone's here. Shield up. We've got intel.
Remnants of glory. Echoes of valor. Whispers on the wind. Calling the names of the fallen. Brave souls, now but shadows in the dunes. The remnants of glory. Desert silence, broken by memory. Sand beneath our feet, shifting with each sacrifice. Lives given to the cause. The remnants of glory. Era of valor, of gallant deeds, echoes in the annals of history. History, written in blood and sweat. The remnants of glory. In the silence, we remember names and faces faded. Faded but not forgotten, their legacy a flame undying. Glory may fade, but honor remains. The guiding star, eternal, the remnants of glory. In the stillness, whispers linger, ghosts of battles fought. Won or lost, but not forgotten, their echoes. Echoes of valor.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching. Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Welcome, noble listeners of House Atreides, to another poignant episode of Through Their Eyes. Today, we bring you the story of Sergeant Creel, a decorated member of the 2nd Deep Desert Expeditionary Force who has faced the horrors of war firsthand. As we delve into his experiences, we honor the bravery and sacrifices of our troops.
Sergeant Creel, thank you for joining us today. Can you start by telling us about your involvement in the operation at Dejum Wadi?
Of course, we're operational in the deep
Sector
desert,
weather
so
alert.
scouting
A
came
large
back with
sandstorm
reports
is
of a Hark
approaching.
emplacement at Dejum Wadi. Well, that was a serious provocation.
What happened at Dejum Wadi?
Like I said, we own the deep desert, so when word got back to us of a Harkonnen bastion being raised, our commanders knew what to do. 7 different cohorts, including the 5th Mesa Infantry and Gurney Zone, were simultaneously deployed in a coordinated attack. The whole operation was brutal. The Hark defenders much more vicious than we were used to.
And yet, you and your fellow soldiers managed to execute the mission with surgical precision. Can you share a specific moment from that operation that stands out in your memory?
There's just one moment, I guess. The bastion was still only half built. Spotted by a fortified lab. Down. They were really trying hard. So, it works. I remember crawling through the blood-stained sand and rubble. The smell of death and fried ozone thick on the air. When we finally took out that position, at least, it felt like a small victory in this ceaseless ocean of despair.
Your bravery is truly inspiring. As the operation continued, what kept you and your fellow soldiers going?
Duty. Honor. The things they drill into you from day one. But honestly, in the end, it's all about the man next to you. The chance to fight for, to keep him alive. It's about the
Atreides prided moral high ground and honorable conduct. How did the principles of Canley and the Great Convention hold up under the extreme conditions of battle?
Canley? That's for fancy folks with sashes and pressed uniforms. For us, the reality of war changes people. These missions, you do things that you never thought you would. I remember one night, after we took out a Hark listening station, seeing my comrades picking through the carnage off of Harkonnen survivors. They seemed different somehow. As if the brutality of the war had drained all humanity out of them. I even remember...
Sergeant Creel, it's clear that the emotional toll is heavy. Perhaps we can focus more on the moments of camaraderie and hope that you experienced during these dark times.
The what? Well, yeah, I mean, there are moments, sure, but... like between missions, people share stories, laugh about the little things. Anything to keep the darkness at bay. But those moments are fleeting. The reality of what we have to do is always there, lurking in the background.
And during the shield wall operation, what was the state of your unit at that point?
It was pretty chaotic. At that point, we were exhausted, just barely holding on. More than half the unit was replacements by then. Young, inexperienced kids, really. Hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And the Harkonnens had good intel. They somehow knew about most of our operations beforehand. I lost more friends in those days than I can count. And we were just trying to stay alive. By mission, but really, what was the point of it all?
I'm sure knowing that your courage and sacrifice will never be forgotten. Can you share with us the impact your involvement in these operations has had on you?
I mostly just remember the,
Shields on!
faces. The screams. The loss. I mean, I try to recall successes of the victory. It's hard. So damn hard.
Service and dedication to House Atreides are deeply appreciated. We thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you. I just hope it was worth it.
And that concludes our interview with Sergeant Creel. His story is a stark reminder of the sacrifices made by our brave special forces. Let us honor their sacrifices and strive for a future where this can finally end and the Harkonnens are eradicated from all of Arrakis.
You have listened to another episode of Through Their Eyes, first-hand accounts from the front lines, presented by your host, Redondo Monroe.
Who goes there? Target found. I require backup.
Twilight glow where shadows Sword once bright, now dull and dark. Reflects the gold of countless blood. Oh, carve this path of pain, through deserts vast, through blood and rain. Yet honor binds my heart tonight. For House Atreides, I still fight. Remember those who fell in fields, whose courage were their only shields. Their names engraved in stars above, their deeds the legacy of love. In silence, now I take my leave. For battles end, and souls must grieve. But know this truth, my comrades dear, in every heart we still stand near. O house of just and noble name, we've lit the stars with honor's flame. And though my journey's end is near, House Atreides, shed no tear. For in the halls where heroes rest, where valor shines, where hearts are blessed, we'll meet again in timeless peace, where all our pains and trials cease. In twilight's glow where shadows meet, a warrior stands on weary feet. His sword, once bright, now dulled with strife, reflects the toll of countless lives. Oh, fate, you've carved this path of pain, through deserts vast, through blood and rain. Yet honor binds my heart tonight. For House Atreides, I still fight. Remember those who fell in fields, whose courage were their only shields. Their names engraved in stars above, their deeds the legacy of love. In silence, now, I take my leave. For battles end, and souls must grieve. But know this truth, my comrades dear, in every heart we still stand near. O house of just and noble name, we've lit the stars with honor's flame. And though my journey's end is near, House Atreides, shed no tear. For in the halls where heroes rest, where valor shines, where hearts are blessed, we'll meet again in timeless peace, where all our pains and trials cease. Powerful words that remind us of the courage and resolve that lives in every Atreides heart.
The heart of Rendavo. Rendavo's father was a sergeant, old and bent and grey. He served the Duke in '88, back in a bygone day. He lived out in the desert and scraped his meager fare, with children 9 around him and Ren, the youngest there. The older siblings learned some sense, but Ren was left without. He was tall, but short on wisdom, and grew up broad and stout. Pious, cheerful, willing, yet he seldom did things right. What will become of you, poor boy? His father asked each night. And finally, Ren answered, a soldier, sword in hand. If all else fails, at least I can still die for Duke and land. Ren packed his bag and went to join the brave Atreides troop. Strong and fit, and healthy too, he was welcomed in the group. But when he had to master drills and learn the skills of war, the sergeant screamed and laughed and screamed still more. For when ordered to turn left, Ren would quickly turn to right, and told to shoulder arms instead. He charged with all his might. Ren Darvo's drills and troubles became a well-known tale. Even famous Duncan Idaho would smile at his travail. And when at last Ren's unit was ordered off to war, the officers debated, was he suited for that job? But Ren just let them argue. He stood there, broad and straight. If with the others I can't go, I'll go alone. Just wait. He took his sword and backpack and marched out with the rest. At camp, he was their servant, fulfilling each request. But when the battles raged, he was ordered to stand back. He didn't understand when to take cover or attack. Duncan Idaho was on the run, Harkonnens in his tracks. He passed Ren Darvo's unit, shouting, "Boys, you watch our backs. Don't let the devils through the gorge, or all of us are lost. Guard it until we regroup. Keep it safe at any cost." A small detachment, made up but of barely 20 men, got there in time to make their stand. Along with them came Ren. The Harkonnen fell on them hard, their lasguns raining death. And 7 brave Atreides men gave up their costly breath. The same disastrous fate would soon befall all those who'd stay. So when ordered to retreat, they all retreated straight away. All but one, who stayed to fight and charged the foes instead. Ren couldn't get the notion of flight through his stubborn head. He just stood there, broad and strong, and ready now to teach a lesson to each Harkonnen who came within his reach. At the choke point in the gully, they all each took a turn, but without lasgun cover. One by one, were forced to learn. They charged at Ren, but each who came was fought and bested all the same. None could beat him at this game, for Atreides' honor, house, and name. Duncan Idaho had rallied all the troops that still were hale. He shouted, "Hold out, my brave lad, we're coming, do not fail." He told all who would hear him, watch a true Atreides fight. "Hurry, boys, come to his aid, he has saved us all tonight." Against that fearsome counter-strike, no Harkonnen could hold. They faltered, failed, and turned their backs, a rare sight to behold. Their faces pale, their weapons dropped behind them as they ran. And Duncan looked around and asked, "Where is that fearless man? He who held the gully until we could all return, that hero of the desert. His name I must needs learn." "He has fallen," said the sergeant, his head bowed down in shame. "He lies there dead upon the sand. Ren Darvo was his name." "I remember him," said Idaho, "of Ren who'd seemed to rest, but for the blood that stained the shirt across his mighty chest. That lasgun knew just where to strike, as plainly you can see," said Idaho to those around. Yes, it knew more than we. It shunned his brow. 'Twas weak and poor, that much all of us knew. But found instead what better was his heart, forever true. The word spread quick among all those who had survived the fight. And every soldier did agree Duncan Idaho was right. Rendavo was no thinker. His mind slow, truth be told. His head, they said, was thick as wood, but his heart was made of gold.
It's the Wastelander Chronicles, brought to you by O'Gary's Imports. O'Gary's Imports. If you want it, we have it. And if we don't have it, we'll get it. Join us now as we journey to the blistering sands of Arrakis, where we follow the adventures of the O'Gary clan, a pioneering family of salvage experts, as they scour war-torn battlefields and crash sites to discover their next great haul.
Hey there, everyone! Welcome back to the Wastelander Chronicles. I'm your Badlands Scout, Sally O'Gary, back with another wild adventure. After that scary encounter with the Masquerade, we got our hands on that super mysterious map. Dad was all over it, trying to figure out where it led. Normally, he would take it over to his Mentat friend at the Seleucid Bull. I used to think Master Chin was scary when I was little. The way he got that faraway look in his eye when he did his computing. Master Chin would have taken one look, and before you got a word out, he'd have done a sector-by-sector comparison of the map with known topography. But in this case, Dad didn't want anyone knowing the secrets of the map before he did.
I'll figure it out myself.
Mom said he was being a paranoid old fool, but what should have taken 30 seconds took 2 days. And don't you know it? 2 days later, we found ourselves piling in the Clovis, our 68th Homeland Master, and set a course for the Haga Basin. Once we were underway, Dad unfolded the map and pointed to a marking that looked like an angry beetle.
This is our destination, kids. Remember that old Empire facility we found a few weeks back? It was a maintenance facility. You know, a bunch of tool pushers they kept around to fix stuff for the eggheads. I guess a scientist can tell you how much a pound of worm shit weighs, but put them all together in a room and they still can't turn a screw to save their lives. Anyhow, in the documentation we recovered, we found an inventory roll listing some of the other testing stations by number and field of study. Testing Station 29 studied plants, while 36 studied weather. Station 91, though, they studied bugs. Just like this ugly little sucker we're headed towards.
Boy, was that journey rough. Mom said it was a bad time of year for traveling, and the sandstorms were relentless. Visibility was almost nothing, and sometimes my little brother Koda and I had to get out and walk ahead of Clovis to make sure we didn't drive off a cliff. Eventually, we arrived at the sector indicated on the map, and we hid Clovis away, where she would be safe. As usual, Koda and I took the point and went ahead of our group. I won't lie, every step of that mission was a chafing nightmare. Before we left Clovis, I made the harebrained decision to break in a handed-down still suit that didn't fit right. I was in rare form and fit for time when we finally came upon the massive portal in the rocks. By then, we'd been to enough of these old testing stations to know one when we saw it. The oversized doors were slightly open, but peering in, we could only see darkness. Koda was immediately apprehensive.
Reading a lot of foot traffic, Sally. I'm not sure how lost this old testing station really is.
Of course, that's when Dad and the rest of the family arrived.
I knew it!
Keep it down, Finn.
I knew it! You said I was a fool. You said I'd lead us into an ambush.
The night is young.
Ignore your petulant mother, kids. We go in wedge formation. After me.
We squeezed through the narrow aperture with ease, but quickly found our way blocked by a massive pit of darkness. After we recalibrated our optics for low light, we found a narrow ramp that wound down to the gaping shaft. I forgot all about my safety as we descended into the darkness. I hated the feeling in there, the lonely, oppressive atmosphere that long-abandoned places had in common. But the spell was quickly broken when a Harkonnen fire team floated on the center of the shaft from above. We flattened ourselves against the wall and kept out of their lights as the noisy and oblivious troopers floated past.
You know that bloody city will never be finished.
The beast is a fool. One day the Baron is going to come here and see where all his Solaris went.
You don't want to be around when that happens.
And why is it you don't want that?
You haven't met the Baron yet, have you, boy?
Damn it, Finn. This isn't a testing station. It's a Harkonnen base.
Can it be both?
I told you the night was young.
So, what do we do now?
This place is huge, and we came this far. I say we go on high alert and check it out.
We couldn't risk getting caught, so we stuck to the shadows and moved as quietly as we could. Mom was right. This place was huge, with tunnels going off in every direction. We saw rooms full of weird machinery and old tech, stuff I'd never seen before. But oddly, no bugs or insects of any kind.
There were never any bugs, Sally. I think the symbol on the map indicates Harkonnens, not bugs.
Well, their helmets are kind of bug-shaped when you look at them.
That's when we heard footsteps and ducked into a side room just in time. Peeking out, we saw a group of Harkonnen troopers march past. We didn't know how many there were in total, but any kind of combat would have brought the whole base down on us. My heart was pounding so hard, I was sure they'd hear it. After they were gone, the spirit of adventure had left us, and we resolved to get out of there as fast as we could. Koda and I really wanted to kill us a Harkonnen, but Mom told us it wasn't our time yet. We'd get our chance one day. But boy was she wrong, as we came face to face with the Harkonnen captain at the top of the ramp. Our daggers were already in hand, as I went high and Koda went low. Eyes and thighs, we called it, as we practiced the move so many times. And that's how we killed our first Harkonnen. Coda took an ear for his collection and offered to help me start my own. But, ew, I told Coda no way. Once we made it back to Clovis, Dad sealed the hatch behind us as Mom brought her great engine to life. After we got back to Arakeen, Dad met his friend, Master Chim, and shared our findings. While we didn't score any decent salvage on the trip, Dad did receive a reward from the Atreides for providing them with actionable intelligence on the Harkonnen base. Apparently the location of that particular base had troubled them for a while. Last we heard, Gurney Halleck was on his way there with a heavy assault team. With that said, Atreides days are back at O'Gary's Imports.
That's right, Sally. Discounts across the board if you serve the Duke and can prove it. Come find us on the Agora Concourse of the Grand Souk in Arakeen. Because at O'Gary's Imports, if you want it, we have it. And if we don't have it, we'll get it.
Thanks, Dad. Until next time, this is your faithful Badland Scout, Sally O'Gary, signing off and reminding you to always check your six. And come back next time for another episode of the Wastelander Chronicles.
We've got it all for you today, from inspiring frontline stories to another exciting episode of everyone's favorite wandering swordsman. But first, let's kick things off with some sonorous sounds for your listening pleasure. You're listening to Vox Atreides, the voice of the Duke. this troubled age, when darkness stalks the land and corruption threatens to extinguish the last light of hope, a lone warrior roams the cosmos. A wanderer with no allegiance to any but truth and justice. He stands as a beacon in the darkness. He stands for those who cannot stand for themselves. He is the last man standing. He is the swordsman. Episode 2732, The Slave Lord of Amaranth. After his showdown on the plains of Jericho with the renegade Hiren Zir, the swordsman finds passage to the Delta Amaranth system in the far reaches of the Trinary Cluster.
Are you sure you wish to disembark here, of all places, swordsman? Amaranth 3 is a remote mining world of little import. No Highliner is due to pass this way again for some time.
I am sure, Guildsman. I will find my way.
Very well. A Chome resupply freighter leaves within the hour. I have arranged your conveyance to the surface. Fare thee well, swordsman.
Oh, there, boy. You run as if the hounds of Hades were at your heels.
Please, Lord, kill me. I beg of thee. Slay me where I stand. I cannot go back to Lord Varric.
Lord Varric. This is not a name known to me. What house governs this world, boy?
For many thousands of years, this stewardship of Amaranth 3 fell to a house minor with allegiances to the great house Waku.
Waku is no more. Their systems were purged in the Third Colsack War. Their holdings forfeit to the Spacing Guild.
As you say, Sirrah.
The boy speaks the truth, Lord. It's been 6 or so centuries now.
And the Guild has not assumed control? This world must be in a ledger somewhere.
Well, the Highliner comes like clockwork. But we get supplied, and then they're gone again. To wherever Highliners go. We just figure they forgot about us.
Then who is this Lord Varric?
Born a slave like his father before him. The Varrics took control when it became clear we were forgotten.
A Mala, claiming lordship over other Mala.
We must go, Sirrah. If Lord Varric's men find you, I don't know what they'll do.
Take me to the slave called Varric. Justice will be served.
Who dares enter my hall unbidden?
I dare, Mala. You claim authority that is not your own. For that, I claim your life.
Oh, you? What is your name, stranger? I would know what to mark upon your grave.
I am the swordsman. Your false reign is over, Varric.
Guards, don't just stand there. Get him! Lord Varric, the stranger fights like the swordmasters of legend. Impossible! The swordmasters were destroyed, the remnants scattered. 6 to 1, he is outnumbered, and still, our men cannot strike him. Fool! They do not have to strike him. They only have to maneuver him onto that trap door. Goodbye, swordsman!
Save your breath, stranger. You took a brutal beating on the way down. Most do not survive the fall, as the bones in this dungeon attest. Dungeon. Below Lord Varric's audience chamber. I am Rodrigo. He is no lord. Not in any legitimate sense. I'm not sure that's a distinction many here would appreciate. What else is a lord if not a title claimed by force? A lordship is an investiture governed by